applause to the organizers for this event. Thank you. So I want to get started today to kind of talk about the new world we live in, right? We talked about this modern workplace, Microsoft 365, but why is it important and why should I care? Why should you care, right? We talk a lot about the changing nature of workforce. Yesterday I was sharing and talking to some colleagues here. I have a 12-year-old son, and he doesn't bring any books anymore. He brings his iPad. He works on his paper and projects with his friends using Google Classroom. They have chat groups, right? And I asked him, so when you're done with a paper, do you email it to your teacher? He's like, why? We don't really use email. I go, really? He's like, yeah, we don't use email. Isn't email, you use email just to get your receipt from Amazon, Dad? We laugh, but that's true. In our personal lives, today's a Saturday, maybe next weekend you have big plans. When you want to plan with, an activity with your friends and family, the first reaction is what? You fire up WhatsApp, Messenger, Line, Viber. You don't email people to plan for a family or social gathering, yes? But it's so weird when we step our foot in the office. Email. Can't kill email. Email. The problem with that mindset, friends, is the next generation of workers who's coming couldn't care less for email. We have to change. Right? The other reality is we got to offer this flexibility and choice on how we work and where we work. When we talk about working mobile, I'm not talking about using a phone. I can work anywhere, anytime, with anything as long as I have internet. And we all know the drill. You wake up, you take our phone, we respond to email, we forward a PowerPoint, no big deal. The other reality in our world is, and it's good, a lot of routine tasks are going away, which allows us to be more creative and innovative. For example, thanks to the cloud, I don't have to worry about Patch Tuesdays. Anybody miss Patch Tuesdays? Not me. I can spend more of my time than dealing with backing up SQL Server, so I can sit with my project management team and figure out how we can better manage projects with modern tools. Be more creative. That's the world we live in, and it's an exciting world. But we're also know that in spite of all this great innovations and developments, cyber threats are at all-time high. I live and work in Washington, D.C. As you may imagine, the government is always a big target. You hear a lot about leaks and hacks, and it's not just government anymore. And you think these cyber threats are very sophisticated. It won't happen to me, I'm not any big company or government. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So how can we be prepared as best we can so either it doesn't happen to us or we limit the damage? You see, 74% organizations expected to be hacked this year alone. So with all this, right, the way the world is changing is so fast, the threats are accelerating, how we work has changed, right? We don't go to an office, clock in at 9, go home at 5, but we work in a very collaborative world, geographically dispersed, which doesn't really matter. So with all this, how does Microsoft think about it? This is what we mean by the modern workplace. It's a whole different way of working. Well, that's not how we work, Dux. I still, go to my cubicle, I fire up Windows XP, or I VPN in with Citrix. Right? Well, that's going to go away if you're still there. So how do I adapt? And that's how Microsoft thinks about this new world, through Microsoft 365. When we talk about Microsoft 365, friends, it's not a single product. In fact, Microsoft 365 is not a product. It's a combination of multiple technologies that Microsoft has that's packaged together. Office 365, Windows, and their Enterprise Mobility Suite, EMS. And the idea is when we go to work day in, day out, we're not just working with one technology. I mean, like you, I love SharePoint a lot, but SharePoint can't handle everything. You know, I've been working with SharePoint since 2000, and it's funny, I remember early in the days, IT's answer is always SharePoint. I need a project site, yeah, SharePoint. I need an internet, SharePoint. What's your mom's name? SharePoint. But more and more in this modern world, look, the technology doesn't matter. That's why people always ask me, well, Dux, how do I advise people what to use when? Yammer, Team, SharePoint. I go, it doesn't really matter. If that's your thinking, if that's still your approach to help your business, you're not going to get anywhere. So how do you think about these things then? Okay? So that's what we're going to cover today. So when we think about Microsoft 365 and helping people to get their work done better, faster, sooner, especially in the realm of Office 365, there's a lot of key technologies which a lot of friends here will cover today. Certainly if you're interested and you're keen on learning more about these different technologies, you know, I'll cover some of it briefly, but make sure you join those sessions. So we have different tools and different choices that would meet different collaboration and communication needs. You know, when I talk to customers, they would always tell me, I don't understand. I wish it was just email, SharePoint, and OneDrive. That's it. Microsoft can keep it that way, but what's the reality? SharePoint, unfortunately, it's too much for some people. And then if it's too much, what would they go? They would box it, Dropbox it, Google Drive it, swipe their credit card, right? Because of the cloud. So we have to adapt, and Microsoft realizes that, and they have adapted as well. The beauty of bringing everything into a single platform is, from a security perspective, I don't have to deal with bespoke applications, making sure, oh, this is well protected, that's well protected. I have a single identity platform where I don't have to deal with integrating logins and whatnot and make sure the data is safe. And more importantly, applying modern technologies through artificial intelligence, so I'll show some demos in a second, or bots, we can provide relevant content to relevant people. And that's how Microsoft thinks about this. And when we talk about what to use when, look, use this simple guidance, right? I love this guidance Microsoft has. You know, I don't have to explain email. Email is good. Email is not going to go away, but unfortunately, we use email, or a lot of people use email for the wrong reasons. Email is great for anything that's asynchronous, one-to-one, nothing in a hurry. I hate those emails with, you know, the exclamation red. Now, respond. Right? Or emails where it goes to 10 people with 10 freaking attachments. Can you edit these documents and let's collaborate on this via email? You know how messy that would be. But email's not intended for that. So that's how Microsoft thinks about email through Outlook. When you think about broader engagement, company-wide, the way Microsoft thinks about it, and especially in this drawing designed as loops, Yammer would serve as that outer loop. Yammer is perfect for you to use as you want to engage with colleagues across the organization. Scenarios like your CEO doing town halls every quarter. Or let's say in my case, I work at a company where we have 1,500 people around the world. I live and work in DC with my colleagues in DC, but sometimes I may need help from colleagues outside of my office. So we do a lot of work around migration, management, and protection. We build software to protect your SharePoint data and Office 365 data. And I was sharing yesterday, a couple of months ago, I had the opportunity to work on a big project for the US government to migrate Lotus Notes to Office 365. Anybody still has Lotus Notes? Wow. Bless your heart. I can do migration, no big deal, but Notes, I wasn't born yet, so when it came out. Just kidding, I'm 42. So what did I do? Instead of emailing all company, I jumped on Yammer and said, hey guys, we got this new project, Notes to Office 365. Anybody done this before? my colleague Blair in Australia jumped on that thread and said, hey, yeah, we've done tons of this. Let me hit you up, send you all the details, and schedule a call, all that good stuff. Y'all with me? And then lastly, for the people you work with day in, day out, that's what Microsoft looks at your inner loop. This is your department, your project team. You have day-to-day engagement, being chatting, communication, document sharing, all that, and this is where teams come in. And based on this thinking, this is how you should prescribe what to use when. Well, wait a minute, Dux. This is SharePoint Saturday. Where's my favorite product, SharePoint? SharePoint is your content service platform, meaning SharePoint is a repository for your files, your sites, your pages, your news. And SharePoint serves as that repository, regardless if you're working with your inner loop, if you're engaging with the entire company, and we'll talk more about that, or if you want to store your files, right? And certainly another player in this picture is Stream, which will serve as the repository for your internal videos. Now, an analogy I use, some of you know this, I love food, so this is the kind of analogy I use. It works really well. When you think about Outlook or email, it's like going to that coffee shop with a friend. You don't really do it every day, you know, hey, let's meet at a coffee shop, let's talk about your family, your new project, maybe 2 or 3 people. It's very cash. There's no really sense of urgency in most cases. Y'all with me? That's what Outlook is for. You don't really, now some people do this, which I don't really agree. You don't really sit and live in the coffee shop all day long. Where Teams come in, Teams is your dinner table. Teams is the family you break bread with 3 times a day. You have fun, you argue, you cry, you hug, you still meet in that dinner table and share that meal every single day or every 6 hours. Yammer is your local neighborhood pub. What they say about Cheers, you know? Everybody knows your name. It's not like you hang out with them day and day, but every Friday night you go to that pub, you know, it's packed and say, hey Craig, so how's that coming along? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe let's meet at a coffee shop one of these days and talk about if there's some business there. Y'all with me? Yeah. So coffee shop, dinner table, and pub. That's how you should think about these tools in the modern workplace. Now, to dig deeper, right? When you think about accelerating modern workplace success, the way I look at it is really 3 ways. What's in it for me, Dux? What's in it for my family, my team, my posse? And what's in it for my entire company? So let's start with what's in it for me. With Microsoft 365, Microsoft has done a lot of phenomenal investment, not only within Windows, but certainly within Office as well, through Office 365 Pro Plus. You know, a lot of times in these events, we talk a lot about SharePoint and Teams and groups, which is important, but we don't really talk about Office. But in case you don't know, Office is actually pretty cool. There's a lot of great innovations of late. So let me show you a couple examples here. So one of the things, let me fire up my email. So let me send an email. So this is Outlook. Let me send a new email to Aaron. Let's meet for coffee. Right? Can we meet for coffee next week? And how does this work? Let's walk through this. When you're trying to schedule a meeting.
I sent him an email, he sent me an email.
Yeah, well, that time worked, that doesn't work. People decline stuff. Let's propose new time. You know that game.
Something happened.
Yeah. But what if you could do this? What if you do this? Hey, Cortana, can you schedule this for me? I just CC'd Cortana. Oh, no, I didn't mean to talk to you. So I just sent that email, right? Well, what happened? What happened here is, as a part of Office 365, in case you don't know, there's a new technology called Cortana Calendar Help. You guys know this? Just go to calendar.help, turn it on, you got it. It will schedule a meeting for you as if you were this high-end, important celebrity with a personal assistant. So what's going on right now, Cortana will pick that up, I'll show you in a second. Talk to Aaron, hey, I checked Dux's calendar and this is his availability, and are you available on this time? And if Aaron picks a time, meeting invite will be sent, perhaps with Skype or Teams and whatnot. That's just one simple example on how you can accelerate your own and enhance your productivity. Another example, I mean, I can't dig deep into all the cool stuff, but one of the cool stuff that has is Microsoft Translator that's now part of PowerPoint. With Translator, I can present this PowerPoint just like right now. However, on your device, I can essentially broadcast it, and you can pick a language you want to see it. Real time. Now, in addition, it can also do closed caption, real-time translation of the speaker's voice. So you can turn on closed caption, you can pick a language that you want. It may look like a bad Chinese kung fu movie. It's good enough. But it's these tools that you have access to today. Now, Dux, I gotta see this Cortana thing of a jig. Is it legit? Is it real? So let's see. All right, it says, hi Dux, happy to help you with this. I'll work with Aaron and let you know the meeting has been scheduled. Blah, 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 right? So now I'm detached from this scheduling exercise where now, let me go to Aaron's mailbox.
You know Aaron's password? That's back.
Exactly. Don't tell Aaron Rimmer about it. So Aaron got my email. I'll give it a few seconds, and later we'll bring it back up. But you'll see an email from Cortana talking to Aaron, trying to schedule a meeting, and with proposed times. Is that cool? Another innovation that we take for granted is OneDrive. Yeah, we all kind of know what OneDrive is, but people don't realize how powerful OneDrive is. So OneDrive allows you to store your files and allows you to use it across devices, across different platforms. And the way you should think of OneDrive is like your My Documents folder. In fact, today, all my devices, my phone, my computer, even if I get a new one, my actual My Documents folder is mapped to OneDrive. So even if I lose my machine, it doesn't really matter. So some of the innovations that you can find in OneDrive. So I open up OneDrive here. So I've got a couple of things, right? First and foremost, this is OneDrive. One of the most recent innovations that I really, really like is the file preview. So no big deal. You can preview Office documents, you can preview PDF, but they've extended that. Now you can preview Adobe files, 3D images. And imagine if you're a doctor, right? Let's say I need to look at that toe x-ray, and I don't even know what this file type is, but when I click on it, it will render that toe x-ray directly on the browser or my mobile device. Right? And how is this possible, Dux? Because the browsers today are so powerful that you're able to do it. Another example, you know, back in the day, I don't know if you do a lot of graphics design or Adobe work, you know, if somebody sends you with a .ai file, the only way to open this is you got to have Adobe Creative Suite or Photoshop or InDesign, but there you go. Again, you don't have to buy that client package for your user. Another example, 3D image. So this is one of the cool stuff. So let's look at the Space Needle out in Seattle. So this is a full-on 3D image that I can render, I can turn, I can zoom, I can move around. See? Directly on my browser. And you can do the exact same thing, friends, directly on your mobile device with the OneDrive app. And frankly, these are the things that Box and Dropbox can't do. Another simple example, syncing. So when you sync your OneDrive, it would sync directly to your Windows Explorer, gives you that opportunity to work offline. And you may wonder, well, Dux, the problem here is, you've got X-ray video, X-ray files, 3D images and whatnot. Isn't that kind of big in terms of file size? Well, the cool thing with files on demand as a part of OneDrive and Windows is it doesn't download everything. So notice some of the status here, it's like it says cloud and some of them are checked. The ones that are checked are fully downloaded. But the one that's cloud is sitting in the cloud and it's just right now showing you that you have all these files. Now certainly if I double click it, it will download it for you. It's a lightweight and allows you that files on demand type of capability. And what else? So the deep integration with not only the browser, but Windows and Office. So let's say here, this Word document, I can right click on it and I can hit share. But in context in Windows Explorer, I'm able to share that file without sending an attachment. And I can define who I want to share it with, the permission, expiration, all that good stuff directly in Windows. And you can do this in Office as well.
So you're setting the share this way?
You can.
Yeah. That's what you're doing? That's what you're doing
Yeah,
now?
I can do it here. I can do it in the browser or my mobile device.
So can I share in a way like, okay, just want you to preview in the browser, but I don't want you to download the file. Can I do that?
Very good question. So read only and not download, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, because like I don't want you to copy the ID or things like that. Of course, I know that people can take a picture, but
Sure. I don't think you could do that just yet. But yeah, but right now I think it's read only, edit, and you can limit how much time. Yeah?
Limit the time.
What's that?
Limit the time.
Yeah, expiration. Yeah.
yeah, like DRM used to do that.
Yeah.
When
So-
it lost files.
So here, I just want to make sure you see this, right? Cortana already emailed Aaron. Hi, Aaron. I'm helping Dux schedule a 30-minute meeting. Here are some available times. It took a little while because they checked my calendar. Yeah. Well,
You pick one and you go. That's what you're doing.
yeah, and then Cortana will send an invite to both of us. Yeah. So a lot of great things that's available in Office 365 to enhance my personal productivity. What do you guys think? Very cool, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about my team? What about my posse? I always tell this to people when I talk about teams and groups. When I talk about my collective of people I work with, I call them my posse now. So you won't get confused if it's a group or a team. So when I work with my posse, we live and breathe in teams. Teams is awesome.
Amen.
Only one person agrees with me. You know, in my opinion, Teams is what SharePoint should have been a few years ago. And it's okay. Today, frankly, if I'm working with my department, with my project, the first thing we do is spin out Teams. I don't even think of SharePoint anymore. The idea of having a SharePoint collaboration site doesn't exist. That's blasphemy, Dux. This is SharePoint Saturday. It's not Team Saturday. No. SharePoint still has its place. It serves a phenomenal purpose as your content service platform. But Teams allows you to work better and faster and sooner. And there's tons of great sessions today on Teams. So let me kind of share, at least in my world, how I use Teams. And different people use it differently. But let me show you how I use Teams. So let me give you some context here. So I serve as a CMO of AvePoint. I work with phenomenal colleagues around the world. I'm grateful I have the opportunity to engage and interact with my colleagues. So with AvePoint marketing, we're broken down into different subgroups. We have digital marketing. They take care of our websites and online presence. My field marketing colleagues, they take care of our events such as this. My colleagues in content marketing takes care of our blogs, ebooks, white papers. Our product marketing, they take care of our brochures for our products. And then our technical writing team takes care of our user manual. So when I had the opportunity to work with a team, we all agreed that the way we're going to work as a family, no more email. Okay? Unless you have a one-to-one conversation, you talk to me, and that's fine. But if it's something we're working on an event, an ebook, there's a lot of going back and forth, there's calls, there's documents. You know what I'm talking about. No more email. It took a while, but once we got into it, boy, it just changed how we work. So for example, one benefit I have, especially as somebody who leads this team, I travel a lot to support the business. We have an AvePoint marketing where everybody is in this team. So we have all these different channels. We have a channel for articles where we share articles we see, who can help, and people sometimes provide feedback. We also have a channel called Photo of the Day. So think of it as like our internal Instagram, if you may. So we do a lot in the office, but we're geographically dispersed. So for example, when my colleague Chisa, a month or 2 months ago, they had cherry blossoms out in Tokyo. She took pictures and shared it. So it makes it more personal.
Okay, so AvePoint marketing is a group of people. General article, those are ideas or subjects within the...
These are channels. Yeah, these are channels. And later there are team sessions. So, yeah, I mean, and the way you organize it's up to you. But later there's a team session I encourage you to attend. You'll learn the building blocks of this. But here's the benefit, friends. So you see this, and then the other benefit, I'm going to show another example. Let me jump into one of the products we're working on. So we have a product called Citizen Services, right? So my colleague Paul, he said, hey Vanessa, hey Rachel, here's the latest product release. He dragged and dropped the Word document. He copied and pasted a video. And in fact, I can even take, let me do this. I can take so let's say I want to reply to this conversation. I can even take a screenshot. Whatever. So let's do this. All right. So you saw that screenshot I just did, friends. And literally, I can paste that screenshot directly right there. Everybody see that? So now...
The conversation that you're showing
Yeah. So this thread of conversation, not only it's rich, where I can not just put text, I can drag and drop a file, a screenshot, a video, but then through this conversation, people are now engaging and talking, right? Now, some may say, well, Dux, this is great, but then what if this feed gets out of hand? How can I go back to this conversation, this thread? Easy enough. I can go back to this thread because in this thread, check this out, copy link. So it's kind of just like, email, there's email thread, right? And then now, if I want to work on this document, I want to see this product update that they worked on. I can click on the file without exiting Teams. The file comes up. There can be multiple people working on it. We can co-author. The conversations about the document is here and makes it much more seamless. If you pause and think how you work today, let's say you're working on some document. You get it via email and attachment, and then you double-click it, it fires up in Word, and then if you have comments, you put the comments in the document. Oh, now I need to send it to everybody else. I take that file again and reattach it. You know the drill. Isn't this much, much more efficient? It's your one-stop shop. And not only documents, friends. If I look at internal processes we have, well, this is great for talking and documents, but what about processes, Dux? No big deal. So in this general channel, right, we talk, we see all the files we're working on, we see our Yammer group, right, I just have to log in, our team calendar that pulls from our shared calendar in Outlook, I could see people's PTO, I have an internal marketing request form from our SharePoint site, that's a custom list, so it's truly my one-stop shop.
So, on a matter like, think about enterprise. I'm working on the SharePoint or search itself, the fast, right? So I need to have my team, I need to have the employees installing the Microsoft tool to make search to find this theme there on the fast search. Can I integrate that?
Absolutely, as long as you have the permission, right? If you're looking at enterprise search, obviously if I'm in Teams, I do a search in Teams, it will find stuff in Teams. Through the enterprise search, absolutely, because it ties into the graph, be it content or people, it will show up.
Now my second question is like, this remembers me a little of Group.
Of what?
Group.
Group, Microsoft Group. I wasn't born yet, too.
So in the past, when you lost all the members of the team, that workspace is gone. No one can have access.
Sure.
What happened when you lost all the members of the team on a specific thing?
Join my next session, and I'll talk about that. Yeah. All right. Now, so those are some of the basics of Microsoft Teams, but it's perfect for teamwork. What else? You can extend it with other capabilities, because with Microsoft Teams, there's a lot of integrations, over 150 integrations. So let me show you a simple example here of how, yeah, Cortana keep responding to me. And also, if you just need someone to talk to, you can email Cortana. I have no friends. Okay. Can you be my friend, Cortana? Okay. All right. So. What's that?
She doesn't want to be seen in public.
That's right. So let me show you what else you can do with Teams. All right. So I've got Teams, and in Teams it has bot integration. So what I did is I went to the Teams store and I added this bot called AvePoint. AvePoint allows you to define automation with Office 365. It works with Flow and Office 365. So let's say here's a scenario, right? Let's say, you know what, I'm working with a vendor and we need an external SharePoint site so we can share stuff with a vendor. Y'all with me? Well, I work with Teams with my posse. This vendor I'm working with, I don't want that person to come to my Teams. We're not that close yet. He's not welcome to my dinner table just yet, right? I just want, you know, to book like a temporary space, a SharePoint site. So the normal way of doing this, what would we do? We would go to what? SharePoint Online, create a site, all that. But you know, I'm a man on my go, and I just not on my computer all the time. So what if I can do this? Hold on, I'm trying to use my phone here. I want a site. I want a site. So what I'm doing here is I'm sending essentially a command to AvePoint through Teams, and I've already predefined this. I'll show you the flow where it will take. I can say I need a site, I want a site, 我喜欢一个 site, ich möchte ein site jetzt. Por favor, uno site más. Great. What should the title of the site be called? Houston SharePoint Saturday. That's all right. Jeff Teeper's not here. Okay. So what about description? Best site ever. So what's going on here, right? So AvePoint took my request from Teams, talked to Flow. Through AvePoint works with a technology in Azure called Lewis, which understands natural language. Takes that command, provisions a site, but wait, because of governance, do you think it'll just give me a site? We're kind of strict in our company, and governance is important. So my boss just got an email, right? So what happened was, let me hide this. So I want to show you the background of what's going on.
Can we go back to email again?
No, he got a notification. Well, do you hear what I said? My boss loves his email. All right, so what happened here? So I want to show you a couple of things, right? So, okay. So this one, I think it's this. Okay. So first I want to show you Flow. So my Flow. So I downloaded AvePoint to Teams, and I configured it to create a with Microsoft Flow. Where am I? Here, Teams Flows. Okay. So I just did 2 simple examples. Team site request project, it could be anything. It could be upload an Excel file, send a text, whatever. That's a part of flow. And then I took it further. I connected this to another technology called cloud governance. It's a technology we have because I want proper approval. And when I connected it, my boss, let me show it to you, got a, let me refresh here. My boss got a notification, hey, somebody in your team wants to create a site. You need to approve it, and my boss will see this. And based on the requirement, all the policies appropriate for this site will be there. How often it's going to be backed up. Is there PII there? How big or how small the library should be. All that. And my boss can approve it. Okay. And then as soon as my boss approves it, it passes that approval back to, bring up my phone again. It passes that approval back to, whatchamacallit, flow to the bot, and then it will send back to Microsoft Teams. I thought I saw it popped up 1 second. Right here. Instead of waiting for it, here, see that? Good news, your site has been approved in provision. You can now. Now, why is the URL different? Well, maybe we have some naming policy. Right? What do you guys think of this? Very cool. Well, Dux, you're an assembler programmer. This is hard. No, it took me 30 minutes. No coding. Yes, sir.
So the idea of whoever your colleague that doesn't belong at your dinner table is with you, okay? You're telling me that in the cloud there was a site created with governance and approved by your manager, and now this person, whoever is just identified by his email or whatever address or whatever identifier he wants to use, can now self-facilitate to your conversation. You can interact with.
Correct. In that temporary data. Like I invited the guest sitting in the living room. You know those people trying to send those pesticides in your house? Yeah. I invite him to the living room. He can sit there. I can talk to him there. I can pass the paper. I go to, wait, let me talk to my wife, take the paperwork, who's my dinner table, and sign it.
So is there a way, just tell me real quick, is there a way to have self-exploration? Hey, I'm giving you a couple of days, and that's it. Bye.
100%. Right. So the opportunities are endless. Not just with the Microsoft cloud by itself, but the richness and the big ecosystem that Microsoft has. Think about the power of bots. The idea now of telling people, go here for a SharePoint, go there for this, go there for that. No, just go to Teams, just talk to the bot. Yeah. It's really cool. And you're thinking, that's rocket science, Dux. No, you can do it today. Well, what about the entire company? What if I want to facilitate and help drive broader company engagement, right? I can take advantage of SharePoint. SharePoint, apart from being a content service platform, SharePoint is a phenomenal platform so that you can use it to inform and engage company-wide. Microsoft recently introduced Hub Sites. Hub Sites brings together all relevant sites so that you can present it company-wide in its beautiful form, right? And in some cases, if you want to surface some of the team sites that the user is a part of, you can certainly do so. So let me kind of break this down for you and how it works, right? So when we talk about team sites is where team base, your family, all the work stuff is there. And every time you provision a Microsoft Teams, for example, a team site's come with it. Every time Office 365 Groups gets provisioned, a team site comes with it because that's where your family work. That's like the dinner table. Communication site is a site used to inform and serve as a knowledge base. Communication site is not intended to be a place where people collaborate back and forth. So to make some sense out of this,
Kind of one way.
It's more knowledge-based, one-way, informational. So let me show you an example. that will make this meaningful. So this is our Office 365 SharePoint Online environment, our internal environment. In our company, we have a site called GTM Central. The idea with GTM Central, every asset around AvePoint is here. So anybody in AvePoint who needs anything from PowerPoint templates, brochures, policies, they just come here. And we use communication site for it. And if I click on this, it's just a library. So it's this one-stop shop, knowledge-based, informational resource where people can go to. Now, the other part of this is, since this is a SharePoint site, I mean, all the goodness that comes with it, from news to web parts where I can embed calendar of events, and even a Yammer web part to show all the Yammer conversations are here. Now, if there's something that my colleagues need and they can't find GTM Central, they can use Microsoft Form to fill out their request, and guess what? Guess where this request goes to? On behind the scenes, there's a flow that, depending on the request, it goes to my team in marketing. Remember the request form I showed you in Teams, this guy? So this.
That was an internal request form. Only your employees see that.
Yeah, only the employees see the request form, but the actual request goes to the team site, which I surfaced in Microsoft Teams. Right? So, and then where does the hub site come into play? Hub site can aggregate all this. Even if it aggregates team site, if you can see it, then it will surface. If you're not part of it, you can't see it, then it won't show up. So Microsoft has done a great job in extending and expanding the publishing capability and broadcast capability of SharePoint. The last technology, which is really good to drive company engagement, is Yammer. You know, some people would tell me, oh, Yammer, it's not useful, or Yammer's gone and whatnot. I disagree, because Yammer has its place. Like I told you, Yammer is your pub. In a company like us, Yammer is important because it allows us to engage company-wide. So let me show you a couple examples, right? So in our company, this is our internal Yammer network. We have a town hall group. One of the things we use this a lot for is our internal town hall. So our town hall is upcoming. We have all the updates, and if people have questions, they can post the questions. Now, here's an example. The last town hall we did, we broadcasted on Skype broadcast. People put all the conversations here, and when the town hall was done, it was recorded in Skype broadcast, published in stream, embedded in Yammer. So people can watch it on demand. Y'all with me? That's a beautiful part of Yammer, allows you to drive company engagement. Other things you could do with it, you may have common groups of interest. We have Foodies Unite group where a company share, different offices share food pictures. And then other initiatives, you can use Yammer, and the idea is, again, you know, cross-office engagement. Our Richmond office, some of the leaderboard, right? So we can see what the other offices are doing as well.
So, the backup window screen, can you go back one screen?
Yeah?
So under Yammer, you have like subjects on the side, and that's like a blog almost?
No, so Yammer, those are Yammer groups. It's not a blog.
Okay.
It's a Yammer group.
Okay.
So again, you know, in the interest of time, there's tons of resources that I'll share on Yammer. But think of Yammer as your platform to drive company engagement. And I want to leave you with this, right? So this is great, Dux. The modern workplace, especially powered by Microsoft 365, has options for me personally, for my posse, for my entire company. But how can I ensure and drive sustainable adoption, right? At the end of the day, it's not about tools. Because if I go back to my old ways as IT and go to my business and say, how do you like your Microsoft 365? Teams, Yammer, SharePoint, let's supersize it. Power BI, next! Ain't gonna work. It's gonna end up like a lot of your SharePoint site, nothing but a glorified file dump. You gotta focus on what's in it for the business. Because a typical business scenario doesn't require only a single tool, it requires multiple technologies to get the job done. If I'm working on a project, ideation might start in Yammer. Hey, who's done Lotus Notes migration? And then once the project starts, I create a team that comes to the SharePoint team site, stores all my project content, all the going back and forth, refinement of the project happens in Teams. If I need external validation from subject matter experts, I use Outlook. I need to do my presentation in Skype, and I archive the project using SharePoint. And this is a great diagram produced by our friend from AvePoint. It's all about the business. And lastly, if you want to drive sustainable adoption, there's really around 3 factors. If you want to consider what tools that can help you. Who are you talking to? Yammer, Skype Broadcast works really well organization-wide. Your SharePoint, groups in Outlook, Planner, and Teams are beneficial for team and project collaboration. Outlook and Skype are great for one-on-one. What about time sensitivity? And last but not the least, what's the tone? Is it formal? Is it informal? So there's a lot of different ways to consider, but more importantly, it comes down to what's in it for you, what's in it for your posse, and what's in it for your company to help get the job done. We put together this ebook if you're interested. All the stuff I've talked about in detail is in this ebook. And by the way, I've recorded this session. The PowerPoint is available as well. I'll give all the resources to the organizers. We'll make sure by next week we'll send a 50 gig email attachment to everyone. So with that, thank you guys. Hopefully it was helpful.